Harry Reid spoke to the Huffington Post, and he weighed in on the issue of fake news, which is something that people have been talking a lot about recently. And here's what he said. Take Facebook, for example. They're doing well and making a lot of dough. Maybe they can forego a few advertisements and spend a little more time looking at some of the junk that comes out on their sites. Maybe it is a slippery slope, but let's start going down the slope. Right now, we've done nothing. I've never heard anybody be that direct about it. Sure, if we control fake news, it's a slippery slope. But I want to go right down that slope. Let's go right down that slope. We haven't done anything. We got to do something. Counterpoint, no, you don't. I'm sick of this, man. The Democrats have completely and utterly collapsed, and they've lost their way. The Democrats are so ineffectual and bad right now that even though Donald Trump is appointing the swamp in his administration, I still think he's the favorite to win in 2020. Because look at this. This is what you're going to focus on. This is all tied into the deflections and the rationalizations as to why Hillary Clinton lost. That's the whole point here. So think about that. You have somebody who lost because they were a bad candidate. Now they've blamed it on James Comey, the FBI head. They blamed it on Vladimir Putin. They've blamed it on the voters themselves. And now they blame it on fake news. And now they're saying we need to regulate fake news. Okay, there's this thing called the First Amendment. There's this thing called the Constitution. There's this thing called free speech and a free press. You can't regulate it. You shouldn't want to regulate it. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that there aren't actually harmful stories that are fake. Of course there are. But the downside of regulating it is worse than the occasional story that's fake that blows up. Because we know what it looks like when you regulate it. Look at any police state on the planet. Look at fucking China. We covered the story the other day. It's over a $70,000 fine if you do fake news. Fake news being defined as anything that dissents from the government's position. We can't have that in the United States of America. But people are still trying to push us in that direction. And by the way, when they say fake news, you do understand what they're saying, right? There's no clear definition of it. So what they mean is anything that offends my sensibilities of what is true. So, for example, Hillary Clinton's team went out there when the WikiLeaks information came out. And we saw a lot of what they were saying behind the scenes. And her team made the argument, a lot of this is, these are fakes. These aren't real. The WikiLeaks stuff is fake. That's a fake news story because they were real. So, what, are you going to crack down on yourself? No, you're not. Because what you mean is any story that pushes our narrative that we like is not fake. Any story that dissents is fake. So this is ridiculous, man. The whole Bernie bro narrative was fake. Should you crack down on yourself because you push that narrative? Should there be laws against you? Now, don't get me wrong. It was a smear job, and I'm going to argue against the smear job till the fucking cows come home. But I'm not going to pass a law saying that you can't come up with shitty arguments. People use shitty arguments all the time. There shouldn't be a law against it. There shouldn't be government regulation of you should be allowed to say that, you shouldn't be allowed to say that. That's fucking crazy. The Iraq War, God damn it, the Iraq War was all based on fake news. But when they talk about it, they're not even referencing that. How lost are these people? How lost is Harry Reid? I care so deeply about fake news, but I'm not referencing the Iraq War, which we invaded a country that didn't attack us, occupied it, and ended up killing hundreds of thousands of civilians and setting up a worldwide torture regime. You think maybe that's the fake news you should really be concerned about? No, they're not referring to that. They're only referring to any story that may have or may not have, because there's no evidence, damaged Hillary Clinton and made her lose the election. They can't own up to it. They can't own up to their failures, and they'd rather scapegoat and deflect and say, maybe we should have laws against fake news before we even do introspection. No, do the goddamn introspection. Even the Republicans were better at it than you. When they lost in 2012, they at least released an autopsy report. Hey, here's why we think we lost. The Democrats are like, well, no, there's nothing to see here. Everything is great. Everything is hunky-dory. By the way, let's ban fake news. Now, look, if he's talking only about like Facebook and Google and whoever else, they should, I don't know, tweak their algorithms so that actual more credible news sites rise to the top. I get that. And you're never going to get an argument from me that, InfoWars and Reuters are equally fake. My ass cheeks. InfoWars has way more bogus bullshit on there. So I get it if he's talking about, okay, just the algorithms of Google and Facebook, do your thing and don't be stupid. Whatever, that's fine. But I'm afraid they're going further because now this has been a sustained week of a full court press, including Hillary Clinton's speech of fake news, 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 fake news. And now he's saying, hey, yeah, some say it's a slippery slope. I say let's go down that slope. I say let's not. And I say you're supposed to be the party of liberal values. You're supposed to be the Democratic Party, the more liberal party. Liberal values means you abide by free speech even when the going gets tough. You abide by a free press. You abide by all the rights that are in there, protection from cruel and unusual punishment, protection from unreasonable search and seizure, but they've given up on that long ago. Now they're just a sad, lost party that's a shell of its former self, that's trying to hang on to power by any means necessary, and they do nothing but represent the establishment. And this is why they keep losing, and this is why they're so sad, and this is why they're so pathetic, and this is why, even though Donald Trump is appointing the fucking swamp like Goldman Sachs people and ExxonMobil CEO is Secretary of State, even though he's slapping us all in the face, the Democrats are so broken down as a party and a movement that I think their outlook for 2020 is worse than Trump's, and that's saying a lot.